Welcome to our show. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Sit back and enjoy. We will talk with people about their stories. With our host, Ibrahim Lona. We're ready to start. Together we serve. Together we serve. Together we serve. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Together we serve.
Welcome, everybody, to Together We Serve TV show. Let me turn this down so you can hear me. I'm excited to have my guest today. I've known her, she'll correct me, I think it's been 10 years, but she is such a servant. And talk about Together We Serve. She's always bringing people together, putting them together with a great mindset and wrapping it around money and the mindset with money. We all need it. We all have it, some a lot, some a little. So this is something that affects everybody, whether you're a big business or an entrepreneur or somebody working 8 to 5 at Apple. Money is so important and it's so emotional. So here at Together We Serve, we're excited to talk about and motivate and inspire and educate you about this subject and how we can do it together. Money doesn't have to be done alone. You can't just jump on the stock market. You can and start trading stocks. You can do that. But rather be educated when you do that than just trying to do it yourself. Because you're dealing with money. And I know lots of people have lost thousands of dollars and I can figure out this trading thing, and then the money's gone in a week. Well, before that happens, I want you to talk to my guest. I want to welcome my good friend, the most loveliest person in the world and the smartest person in the world I know. Eleni, welcome to Together We Serve.
It is so good to be here with you, Steve. And thank you so much for sharing your platform so others can share their mission as well.
Well, you're going to bless my audience. I know you're in Detroit. Money is, the finances in Detroit are crazy. Talk about that and what you would have done with Detroit and maybe do in the future to help them with their money situation.
Well, born and raised in the Detroit area, yes. I lived in Florida for the last decade.
That's right.
And, well, as with anything with the money situation, you have to be future focused. You have to be connected to it. Because when people, you and I have spoken about why people feel so disjointed and disconnected to their money situation. And that's honestly because they give all their power away to it. And they may sound crazy, but money, like anything in our world, we get to apply the meaning to it. It's our perspective that we give it. Money's not the bad guy. Money didn't make your car break down. Money didn't make your pipes burst. But so many people act like it does, like it's the necessary evil. So first and foremost, you've got to get past that and not make money the bad guy.
Yeah, it's excuses and blame game, and we go across the board with that. Our show, and I this is why I love you so much, address the BS, you know what BS means, to create the income and impact you desire. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, address your BS. The BS is what you think it means, and it's also your blind spots. We have to address our BS to get to our best self. And to me, that's about being 100% responsible for your life in all situations, being a leader in your own life. And with that can come incredible awareness. And that awareness 100% can lead you, to your goals, to your dreams. But I'm not saying that you're responsible when something horrific or negative happens that was beyond your control, due solely to external circumstances. But how you choose to respond is 100% on you. And when you embrace that, to me, you're living from a place of empowerment. And it makes me think of one of my favorite quotes by an author named Leland Val Vanderwall. And he said, "The amount of growth a person can experience is directly proportional to how much truth they can face about themselves without running away." So again, it's living with what you see in the mirror, not being afraid to address your BS so you can get to your best self.
So we'll just use money and failure. What you're saying, it falls in my lap. If I lose $1 million in an investment, that's my problem. Well, it's my situation, my problem. I've got to deal with it.
Right.
How much is education a big part of this?
I think education is all of it because, for example, you may have not been responsible for that loss. Again, external circumstances, businesses closing, things the last almost 5 years people have been experiencing. There absolutely have been things outside of your control that have leveled people financially. But if you're going to have the mindset that real security is only having money in the bank, that's the only way I can look at it, then when something like that does happen, you're screwed. But you can have the mindset that real security is knowing how to make money when I need it. That puts yourself in the driver's seat with your finances because there's always going to be something we can't control. But if you know how to make money, or if you know the right person to reach out to, the right action steps, you have that growth mindset, you're going to be able to come back again. We could probably rattle off list of, millionaires and billionaires that have lost it all, built it back, lost it all, built it back. Somebody asked me recently, well, do rich people then just think about money all the time? I said, I don't think it's the amount of time they think about it, but how they think about it. They know they're in the driver's seat with their finances and they can rebuild.
That's well said. I never thought about being in the driver's seat with your money, not the passenger and letting it fly by you and losing it, going by, oh, there goes my money. What a great image. And a quick story, I met a guy a year ago that woke up one day, millions of dollars. I don't know how the total was. I don't remember. But he wrote a check and gave it to the private school where his kids go, really down to zero. I'm like, what were you thinking? Yeah, I knew you'd love that. But within 6 to 8 months, he had that multi-million dollars back in his bank account. And that's what you're kind of saying, right?
Yes. Knowing that you can take care of yourself financially, that you have the skills, the knowledge. And again, this does not mean you're doing it alone. We're not waving some magic wand. I don't believe in that by any stretch of the imagination. But it's having that growth mindset that you're willing to adapt, you're willing to learn, you're willing to develop the skills, because people come to me for a variety of reasons, whether it's to start or grow a business, they want to up-level their career, maybe they feel stuck professionally and they just don't know how to move forward. They want to make more money and they just don't know how to get there. But if you have a fixed mindset, then you're going to think, why bother? It's beyond my control, game over. But when you have that growth mindset, you're willing to develop the skills, be adaptable, game on. I believe without question, you can effectively create a more positive chapter for yourself, and that includes with your finances.
And I know the answer to this because I've known you so long. Why are you so passionate about this?
Yes, I am passionate about it because I don't want to see people taking themselves out of the game, living less of a life that they want. Now, again, all due respect, there's a lot of people that deal with so much. Everybody has challenges, obstacles. Everybody has a story. But I really am mission driven to help people feel more empowered, especially with finances, because at the end of the day, I don't care if you want to make 50,000 a year or 50 million or anywhere in between. I just want you to feel in control and be able to make decisions from a place of empowerment, not I can't do this, I can't do that. And you end up feeling deprived and you feel that you're missing out. I want it to be your choice.
Well, we just got a message from Marianne. We have Mullen. Great interview. Thank you, Marianne. Thanks for the encouragement, insights, being in the driver's seat. I agree with Marianne. That is such a powerful image because everybody over 18 hopefully is driving or below 80, whoever. When we're driving, we know we've all driven, most of us have all driven something. So that image is very impactful.
Yes.
When you work with somebody, where do you start with them? Take Steve, okay? I'm going to start working with you. How's that journey start with you?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, depending on what your goal is, of course, whether it's financial, whether it's creating another business, up leveling the one you already have, I absolutely want to examine all of your thoughts and beliefs around it, because that is key. When we look at our beliefs, mindset is crucial to everything. And mindset, honestly, I believe that word is used so much, but it's still often underrated. So I want to look at your thoughts and beliefs around that situation, what you got you there, because the reality is, if like Einstein's definition of insanity, keep doing things the same way and expect different results. And I know that you've achieved a lot and you've grown a lot, especially in the last few years. But what got you here may not get you to the next level. So we need to know exactly where you're starting, like a GPS system. You're going to plug in your final destination. That could be your financial goal. That could be your business goal. It could be your life goal. But if we don't know exactly where you're starting, we can't get that necessary set of directions to map out the right game plan.
And the GPS being a third party, I'm going to take your great analogy. I could try to do it myself, but I can't be my own GPS. I need to look at something. And you or whoever people are using, that's where you come in and your value. I mean, if you make me an extra $1 million next year, and we're not going to talk about what you charge, but whatever you do, if I could do that or make an extra 100,000 or an extra 10,000, that just compounds as I learn more, right?
Right. Absolutely. And I never forget listening to my grandfather when I was a little kid. I was blessed to be raised in their home, and he was the epitome of entrepreneurial success, a hugely successful restaurateur. And I always remember him saying, an education is one of the only things you can never lose, because you could lose your money, you could lose your job, your house could be taken away from you, your car could be taken away from you. But if you have the education, if you have that awareness, if you've got the skills, you can build again. You can begin again. Back to GPS real quick. We need to have more grace with ourselves and give ourselves other chances. If you make a wrong turn and you're in the car or off the designated route, I've never heard a GPS system in the history of the world say, you're stuck, you're screwed, game over, the end of your life is right here. No, they all say rerouting or recalculating. So we're going to hit bumps in the road. But if you've got the skill set and the knowledge, you're going to figure out how to circumnavigate that to move forward.
Let's expound upon the bumps in the road. Struggles. Why do people struggle with money?
I think primarily because, honestly, we all have a money story. We all have beliefs around money, and they're adopted when we're so young, usually from our parents or any other adults we've spent a lot of time with. And the kicker is those beliefs are adopted as if it's the only truth. So if you've heard there's never enough to go around, it's too hard to make ends meet, money's the bad guy, and you embody that, well, that's going to impact you. Now, some of the beliefs may have served you well, but I think it's very important to examine whether those beliefs are serving you now as an adult. Because I had a client, she was so creative and so talented in her particular craft, but she was barely making ends meet. She was grossly undercharging and under earning. And when we started talking, she said, I'm just not even comfortable talking about money. I can barely state my fees when talking with a potential client. She said, sometimes I feel like my throat's going to swell shut. And I'm sure somebody can relate to that. So through coaching, we uncovered that, her parents, and no disrespect, because I believe they did the best they could with what they had and what they knew. Her parents were always struggling financially, and she thought that that's the only way it could be. But fortunately, we were able to flip the switch and help her cultivate new beliefs to break that pattern. Now she confidently states her fees in a sales conversation and is making more money than she ever did before.
Just a little switch. Well, not a little, but just that switch with your help. She's making more money than she's ever made. Not a better product, not a better service, not a better marketing plan, on and on and on. This in my case, big old noggin, you just made a switch.
Right. Because again, starting with our beliefs and our thoughts, Napoleon Hill said, think and grow rich. He didn't say build another widget and grow rich. Think and grow rich.
Yes, that's so well. Great book. Great book. I don't have to stalk you because I've known you. I think it's 10 years. I think you said it's longer. But you talk about, which I love, relationship with money. I think that's so important. Talk about that.
Yes. Well, we all have a relationship with money, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I ask my clients you have to know your numbers, first of all. So I ask people to track and date their numbers. You track the amount of money that comes in. You just write that number down on a daily basis, even when that number is zero. And I've had people say, I'm not putting the damn zero down. But again, if you're afraid to even look at your finances, then I promise you're afraid to deal with something else in your life as well. Because it's not just how you do money, it's how you do other things too. But if you're not afraid to look at it and hit it head on, then you have the chance to make change. And when I ask people to date their money, what I mean by that, at least twice a month, you're going to set a time to look at your accounts. And I don't mean spending hours poring over it. This doesn't have to take long at all. But know your numbers. Know your accounts, know balances due, know the minimum payments, and pay attention. Somebody said, really, I have to date my money? And I said, well, let me ask you this. If you want a rich and rewarding relationship, with your spouse, with your business partner, with kids, with clients, don't you have to pay attention to them? So how can you expect to have that rich and rewarding relationship with money if you're too hesitant to pay attention to it? So know your numbers.
I like that. I'm going to give you a little secret. I'm going to put this on the ticker to remind people. You said this to me a few years ago when we talked, and I didn't get it. I really get it now. I mean, I got it, but I didn't, and I followed it. And I've been doing that in audience. Let's just use a couple years ago when you told me. It's changed my life. I know when I have dips, I go, oh, Steve, you got to stop spending here. Your family got to look at ways. We're uphill. Okay, don't spend too much, but we can maybe do this little. It is a complete game changer in your finances, dating your money.
Yes.
Now, it never gave me a diamond ring, which I was not happy about, but that's okay. Money, you still love you and they still enjoy you. Talk about business. Go ahead.
Well, I was doing a presentation to a group of entrepreneurs, and this one gentleman, I knew it triggered something with him because he said, what's wrong with making $50,000 a year? And I said, absolutely nothing if that's what you want and need. Again, I'm not telling you, I don't care if you want to make $50,000 a year or 50 million. I just want it to be your choice. I want you to come from a place of empowerment. It doesn't mean you need a bigger house, a more expensive car. I just want you to be in the driver's seat. So, gratefully, he was willing to have a conversation after that. And he was sharing the pressure he felt externally from other people. You should be doing better. You should be making more. You should have had a raise. And that's what he was internalizing, all that external stuff, letting everybody else rent space in his head.
Empowering in money. That's another sentence that's pretty powerful. People use it a lot. What does it really mean?
Yeah. That regardless of the external circumstances, regardless of what happens in the world, that you're going to be able to figure out a way to take care of yourself. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be easy. I mean, Steve, you know me. I'm anything but a Pollyanna. I'm very realistic. And we all know that hard times happen. But it's not giving up. It's not taking yourself out of the game. Because when you're empowered, back to being 100% responsible for your life, you find a way to figure it out. It doesn't mean you asked for it. Again, clients could do something, could leave. Businesses close through no fault of your own. But going back to that place of empowerment, you can rebuild. And I think in any area of our life, that's so important to feel that way. Being a leader in your own life.
Yeah, and talk about leadership, because I think we lose sight of that. a servant leader, which is my big mantra when I speak, and we've talked about it. How does leadership tie into money? Is it, Elon Musk, is he a leader because he makes trillions of dollars a year, or is he a trillionaire? Or what is it really?
That's a great question because I don't think it's the amount of money that any leader has. As an example, Gandhi wielded more power than anyone in his era, but he didn't have any of the trappings of power. He didn't have the money. He didn't have a big house. He didn't have an army. He didn't even own a suit, but he was able to effectively influence 200 million people. How? It was his faith, which is his belief that he could do it. And that's all connected to mindset, had nothing to do with having anything in the bank. And that, at the end of the day, is what I want people to walk away with, to realize how much power you have within you, whether you're beginning again or you're just trying to elevate where you're at. It's not about the numbers in the bank. I want you to know your numbers, but I want you to put yourself in the driver's seat to know that you can impact your financial future. You can be a leader, whether you have $5, 500 million, again, anything in between. And I think Gandhi is a great example of that and reinforces the importance of our mindset.
I thought it was a pretty good guest on shows I've been on, but you pulled a Gandhi out and said that. That is, I didn't even think, I'm thinking Nelson Mandela is kind of somebody else, but he's had money. But that is it's an image. And I love about you is you bring images and stories so we can understand. Yeah, because I think people are losing sight of leadership because they're like, I make $50,000 a year. I can't be. If you're a father and have kids, you're a leader of your kids, right?
Absolutely.
And you're doing great to try to support your kids and do whatever you can. When it comes to business, because I know you work with businesses and individuals, what is the first thing that you see when you start sitting down with a business owner that go, okay, here's your money problem, or here's your money struggles, probably better?
It's that disconnect. They feel a disconnect with the money. Sometimes it's honestly they're not placing proper value on their product or their service. So they're more worried about competition instead of putting out that quality and being connected to it. I see so many people undercharging and over-delivering. And yes, when times are tough, people struggle, you hustle, you want to make the sale. I get that. But like I had a client, when he first came to me, he was referred to me, and his first words out of his mouth were, "I'm sick and tired of having to lower my fees just to get a customer." And I said, "I have the answer." He said, "What?" And I said, "Stop it." Now, fortunately, we were in a public place, so he couldn't smack me. But the reality was he was resenting what he was doing to himself. He had 30 years of experience, was brilliant in his specific industry. But he thought, I've just got to keep discounting. I've got to keep discounting. And he wasn't realizing that was keeping him playing small, and he was resenting himself. And again, you got to address your BS. If you can't be happy with what you see in the mirror, or at least willing to work with what you see in the mirror, it's not going to happen. And through coaching, when he realized that, I said, "You're right. It's my head wrapped around this. I think I just have to be the cheapest game in town to get a client." I'm like, no, you don't. And when he was able to shift that mindset, again, starting with the beliefs, none of us are going to succeed beyond our current beliefs. It doesn't matter whether it's money, fitness, anything. Then he started earning more, and he's been on a steady growth path since.
I want to keep going because I just talked to a business coach this week. Same thing. It was amazing what she was charging. It was so devalued to what she thought her value was. I love that you said that. Any coaches out there listening, or people that you set your prices, entrepreneur, product or service, it doesn't matter. It's all about value. Talk about, let's finish the story. If you can give us numbers about this gentleman, where he went lowest and where you brought him up to, and how much did he increase his income? The story you just told us.
Right. Well, he was really going from month to month, not always making ends meet. He was on that money roller coaster, those inconsistent months. And that's a red flag right there, because that either is telling me that something might be wrong with your product or service. We have to look at that. Something could be up with your marketing. We have to look at that. Or your pricing could be way off. And for him, it was his pricing, again, because he was brilliant at his craft. 30 years of experience, top of his game that way. But then he got sucked into, I've got to be the cheapest game in town, because, you could turn on the radio, turn on the TV, and it's everybody with their, discount, half off, 80% off, everyone doing it. But he was also discounting himself, himself doing that. And if we resent ourselves, how are we going to grow? So he then up leveled. And I believe in stair stepping. Like, say that your goal is currently you're making $5,000 a month. And whatever your goal is, say that you want to make $1 million. Great. I would never tell anybody not to shoot for that goal. But to go from $5,000 a month to $1 million in one jump is hard. So we started him stair stepping, increasing it by 25%. He met that goal for twice, and then we increased it again. It's kind of like if you're in the gym and you have a goal of I want to bench press 200 pounds, but the most you've bench pressed is 75. You're not going to jump from 75 right to 200 without crushing a bar on your neck. So stair step your way when you want to increase your income again. And he started doing that, and that helped tremendously, because then his annual income more than doubled after the first year.
Wow, and that's powerful. I love the fact of the health club story, because, I was part of health clubs for many years, and I've seen people drop the bar on their chest, and one guy almost killed himself. It's scary. And your money could be the same way. You could kill all your money and be in trouble. We're coming to up our next segment, but we're going to talk about actionable content on the other side. But what's one tip right now because you've given us so much information. And audience, by the way, reach out to her. We'll get by the end of the show, we'll get your contact info, because she'll talk to you and see what she can do. And of course, I would hire her, especially if you want to make more money, because the world today is worse than it's ever been. I'm 63. COVID didn't help. Recession didn't help. Interest rate. Again, keep in mind that happens all the time. 2008, we had the stock market. 1920 something, my dad's part of it. So it always happens, but mindset will always solve those problems every single time. So what's a tip you can give somebody that's been listening going, I love what you're talking about. How do I get started?
Right now, honestly, I would, take out a piece of paper or sit at your laptop, even doing it on your phone. I want you to write down the first 10 thoughts that come to your mind when you think of money. And no filter, just be honest. Whether money's in abundance or money's a bad guy or nobody will pay my fees, whatever it is, list those first 10 thoughts, but then go back and ask yourself and be really honest. Is this my feeling? Is this my belief? Or did I adopt this from someone else? Because we have to separate others that may be renting space in your head. And you have to start cultivating your own money story that's going to serve you and the life you want to have going forward.
I can write a book of all the quips that you put in them. Who's living in your head? Drive your money. Date your money. We're going to talk later. I'm half kidding, half not. I love that tip because it seems simple. And then we expound upon there. Okay, we're going to take our break, and I'm going to say this before we jump off. And this Eleni's been such a good friend. She does such good things. I relate her to a heart surgeon. You've got a heart problem. What are you going to do? You're going to go to a heart surgeon, doctor, and get it fixed. Money and health are the same. Your health goes down, you're in trouble. Your money goes down, you're in trouble. Find somebody that's an expert like Eleni. And I don't usually do this, but I'm super excited because of everything that you've brought, that you need to. I'm not going to hire my mechanic. I always say this. I don't know why I picked this, to do heart surgery on me. I'm going to find that heart surgeon.
Oh.
And here's the problem with money. You go on to social media and there's messages everywhere that are so wrong. Trade this, and they're not experts. Eleni knows what she's talking about. So I'm going to stop there. Let's take about a 5-minute break. I want her to get some water because she's probably parched, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to part 2. Address your BS blind spot to create the income and impact you desire. Of course, you could use BS another way. I won't say it, but that's what we're talking about today. But the big theme of this show is money and your relationship. Are you dating your money, as Eleni said? Are you really looking at your finances once a month? Are you really have a relationship with your money? These are powerful messages that could change your life. If you're out there struggling to pay your bills, do you know why? It's hard to figure out when you're in the middle of it. We all know in any situation, especially when it's stressful, we can't find the answer. We struggle, we figure it out, we do research, but somebody from the outside comes in and says, "Hey, Steve, do this, this, and this." Oh my God, I didn't think about that. And you do it, and the stress goes away, and the problem is looking to be solved. That's what Eleni does with money, which is so powerful. It's something you want to pay attention to. And let's bring her back. She looks like she's back all refreshed. Welcome back, Eleni.
Thank you so much, Steve.
So if you want to know more about money and growing your business, like I have, ask your question in the chat box, and we'll get those answered. Yes. Let's talk about, let me remove this, actionable. I lost my frame of mind. It is called, bear with me here, audience. This is live and in person. Where was it? I'm looking through my notes here. Actionable Do you know what I'm talking about here? No, you don't. I saw it in my
Specific.
notes. Oh, actionable content. I love that phrase, but I want to understand it more.
Yes, yes. Well, actionable content. I think it might have been Napoleon Hill, but saying that knowledge is only power basically when it is put into action. So we can read 1,000 books, we can listen to podcasts, we can study, but if we don't do anything actionable, then nothing changes. And I also want to reinforce, though, with people that it's not as if you have to do a major overhaul with your financial situation day one. No, it could be as simple as adding one new habit a day, like starting to track that money. That could start, because small hinges swing big doors. That can start affecting the change that you want. And especially where money is concerned, something else that's actionable. You can't just claim a money goal and then let it drop. So if you have a new financial goal of what you want to make a month or what you want to make in a year, don't just say the number, say, I want to make more money. I mean, that's like throwing spaghetti at a wall and let's see what sticks. What you really have to do is write that number down and cultivate an emotional connection to it. And this is not woo-woo stuff. We have to know why it matters to you, because we know that there are going to be obstacles and challenges that come up. Every aspect of life deals with that. But when you're emotionally connected, you know your why. That's going to be the fuel that keeps you going. So you have a new income goal you want to reach. You know that number. Then I also have clients reverse engineer. If you're in business for yourself, for example, we have that goal. First, I want to know your why. Why do you want it? Is it to buy a house? Is it to pay off debt? Is it to donate to charity? Whatever it is that's important to you. But then we're going to reverse engineer the steps that it's going to take to get there. It may be increasing your fees. It may be adding a new product or service. It may be hiring somebody to help you make more sales calls. Whatever it is, we're going to build the right profit pyramid that's going to get you to your financial goal.
I like that. That again, you make it really simple. Money can be so complex; it's crazy. When somebody gets advice, I hear this a lot. Hey, my friend said, buy Apple, or my friend said, do Forex trading, or my friend said, buy this, invest in this, because you just don't do trades, and you go talk to people and go, hey, Eleni, I've got this opportunity to buy this business. What do you think? How do you answer that? How do I answer my friends and my family and people I know giving me this advice that I probably know is wrong?
Well, and especially when it's something that's not in your wheelhouse to begin with, because I don't advise about stocks. I don't advise about, specific investments, because again, everybody has their own preference, their own niche, their own wheelhouse. Some people want nothing but real estate. Some people want brick and mortar. Some people are dealing with, cryptocurrency. That's your choice. But again, it goes back to, if you don't feel empowered with money, you may end up saying yes to something. You may end up investing in something that truly you don't feel the connection to, that's not the right fit for you or the lifestyle you want to have, because you have like the stars in the eyes. Well, they're promising me I can make X number of dollars, or they're promising me this kind of return on my investment. That type of thing is what I want people to prevent. And that to me is connected to your relationship with money.
Yeah, and it's a mindset where you can come in. You're not going to say buy or not buy. You're going to go walk them through that journey of, okay, it's a crypto mining company, Bitcoin mining. What does it do? And you walk them through the journey.
Right.
And how, I want to say important, but how powerful is that to be my sounding board for this potential opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, I believe we all need that. We all need someone that can do that. In fact, someone asked me not too long ago, and they wanted to hire somebody locally. I happen to live across the country from where they're from. They said, what's one question I should ask a potential coach? I said, honestly, the first thing that comes to my mind is ask them if they get coached. Do they have a coach? Because none of us know it all. None of us have it all figured out with any help. But if you have strategy, then you know how to find the answer, you know how to get to the answer, and having that other set of eyes, because especially if it's something, if it's your own business, or you've been in a career so long and you're going to up level, or maybe you're thinking about stepping into something different, but you're too afraid because of the financial aspect of it. It's so helpful to have another set of eyes to help you map out the potential scenarios and what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah, and I can use this great story comes to my head. My mindset would be come to you, like I want to buy this $30 million mansion. Just making this up, of course. Well, maybe down the road, who knows? You can come visit, Eleni, because you're my friend. But so I'm going to come to you from the mindset side of that. I'm going to go to a real estate expert to go on the real estate side. That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Here. Okay.
Absolutely, because I want to make sure you're doing it for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have people gone against their gut, if you will? I had a bad feeling about it, but they said the ROI would be this, so I went for it. I just want you to feel positive and secure with what you're doing financially moving forward, so you can remain in the driver's seat with money and not let somebody else take the wheel away from you and talk you into things that might not be a right fit for you.
You just talked about all social media just now. I have nothing against social media, but those, hey, I mean, I go to YouTube because all my shows are on YouTube, and I'll see, hey, Amazon, make $200,000 a month selling ebooks on Amazon. Well, on a side note, everybody, Amazon's shutting all those down because they're using AI to see people are publishing AI ebooks, and they'll shut your account down. I know somebody it's happened to. On a side note, and that's where, again, Eleni, that's your superpower, is get me in the right direction so I can make an informed decision. So how bad is indecision? I'll just say it that way.
How bad is a decision regarding
indecision? Not making a decision.
Oh, indecision. Well,
I know I did.
Indecision is the decision. Indecision is the decision. Confusion breeds chaos. So if you're indecisive, you're going to start to spiral. You're going to be going in all sorts of different directions and questioning things and what should I do? When you are decisive, that somehow clears the path. And with anything we want, the decision comes first. I was talking to somebody who said they really wanted to start their own business. I want this, I want that. I said, I'm hearing what you want, but have you decided? Well, I really want to have my own business. Again, I hear that. But have you decided? It's different. Because when you decide, you commit, you take action. The decision always comes first. But if wishing and hoping and wanting would make it so, I love the Hallmark Channel a lot, but not in business.
Yeah. Great point. So let me ask you this, and I've heard it, I know you have. Okay, Eleni, that sounds wonderful. I go and make that decision, but it's the wrong decision.
Well, if things don't work out, you've made that decision, you've started on that path, I'll go back to the GPS system. The game's not over unless you decide that it is. So the difference between having that fixed mindset and that growth mindset. Again, you make a wrong turn or you realize, nope, this is not going to pan out the way I want it to. It doesn't feel right. We're going to reroute. We're going to recalculate. You can begin again. You can give yourself infinite beginnings. That's part of what makes me so passionate, is when I see people quit on themselves. Like, game over. Don't quit on yourself. Please, anybody listening, if you've never made a mistake or a decision that you regretted, raise your hand. And I would think no one would be raising their hand. It's okay. Welcome to humanity. Hello, life. But give yourself the option of beginning again.
Love being a host of shows because I get to learn. It's one of the best answers for people to tell me, because I hear it once or twice a month. But Steve, I make the wrong decision. I am going to borrow that and borrow it and borrow it. An audience, I hope you wrote it down or watch this over again, because that is so powerful. Because to me, indecisiveness is worse than the COVID. epidemic. It's worse
Yes.
than recession.
Yes.
It's worse. It will
Yes.
destroy you more than any of that, because we've recovered from COVID. We'll recover from all that stuff, recession and all that stuff. I'm excited to talk about this because I love your book, My Reinvented
Mm.
Self. I love it because it's a passionate story with a great end. Well, it's not ending, but a great going forward.
Mhm.
Talk about your book, your passion for it, your mission for it.
Yes. Well, I wrote My Reinvented Life, Finding Purpose in the Pain. And it was definitely part of my healing journey as well. It was a very, very traumatic event, resulted in the end of my teaching career, I think a little over 13 years ago. And I was born a teacher. I am a teacher. I still teach in so many ways. And having to start over when I was already in my 50s is an interesting challenge. And I wrote the book for people to realize that we don't have to be defined solely by a title or by age or by circumstance. And heaven knows what happens to us does not have to define us for the rest of our lives. It, of course, can help shape us going forward. But I began again. I reinvented my life. I started my own business. I grew, I learned, I healed. And I really want people to understand that it doesn't matter how far down you've gone, and it doesn't matter what age you are, that you can begin again, that you can create another chapter. Because one of the things I think most people forget, you should always be, to me, one of the biggest creators in your own life. You know, your ability to choose is a superpower. Being back to being 100% responsible for your life, being a leader in your own life. I don't want people to quit on themselves or quit on their dreams. And even if you've hit one hell of a rough patch that may have lasted years, if you have the desire to be, do, or have something more in your life, something different, I truly hope you will honor yourself and go for it and seek help. Please don't ever think you have to do it all alone. Get the right support that's going to help you on that journey.
Thank you for sharing. And we're not going to get into the story, but it was very traumatic. I've heard it. But when people struggle, two things they do that I've found: they eat way too much, because I've been one of those, where I use as food as a aspirin for me, and they spend a ton of money. It's like, oh my God, this traumatic thing happened. I know you have a great answer to this. I'm going to go buy a Learjet. How do we avoid doing that?
Yeah. Well, you're trying to put a very expensive Band-Aid on the bleed. And I believe without question, because someone asked me, how do you know when you're ready to like share your story or to move forward? And I said, you should share your scars, not your wounds. So don't make a permanent decision on a temporary situation. Don't make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling. Do the healing work first. Grow through what you're going through. And then when you know that scar is there, it means the healing has occurred. You can get to the other side. Then if you still want to buy that jet, and you can, go for it. But you're doing it for the right reasons.
I knew you'd have a great answer, because I know you've lived this, and it's been 13 years, and struggle's always going to be there for you or anybody in the audience that's had traumatic events. We all do. I mean, it's just life. But I like how you put that it's still there, but don't let it affect your life or make decisions, the wrong decision. That's where you want to back off and make that decision. I don't know why I picked the Learjet. I'll probably tell you later. So, with money, trauma, life, family, all these different things, they intertwine with each other.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to somebody that says, Eleni, I need help, but I'm scared to get it?
First, I would say thank you for being honest. You're a human. If you didn't feel some kind of fear, I would think something else might be wrong, especially if you've just been through the thick of it, let's say, some type of trauma or something turned your world upside down. And maybe what was available to you yesterday isn't even an option today. So I appreciate fear, but we have to be mindful because fear is one of the biggest sellers in the world. People will prey on your fear. We know that, especially these last 4.5 years. But what I want people to realize is the best way. I had a client say, like, when does the fear go away? When does this fear mongering stop? And I said, actually, it doesn't necessarily, but you just put it in the back seat and remember that you're the one in control, because action is the best antidote to the fear. Because if you're sitting there frozen in fear, nothing effective for you, nothing positive for you is going to happen. And that's when people can take advantage of you, or you can make those permanent decisions on a temporary feeling or situation. So I want people, of course, be scared, but still reach out for that help. Because once you see yourself starting to take action, then the next one, then the next one, it's going to get easier and that fear is going to diminish. It's not about it ever going completely away. And I'll tell a really quick story. When I was a teacher, I remember having a student teacher and I worked with emotionally impaired kids, very behaviorally challenging, and I love my kids. But I had a student teacher that they were just eating her up, chewing her up and spitting her out. She didn't stand a chance. And at the end of one day, she came to me and she was in tears. And she said, Eleni, please tell me it gets better. And I held her hands and I said, oh, sweetheart, the shit gets worse. And then she started sobbing. And now I said that for a reason. I'm not an unkind person.
No.
I said, don't wait for it to get better. You get better at it. So when those events come up or that situation comes up, you could still feel the fear. You could still cry, but you've got what it takes inside to move through it, to grow through what you go through.
I love it. Greatest answer. You're so brilliant. We're coming to the end here. I've got a quick question for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've reserved a Learjet. It's a 4-seater.
Okay.
You occupy one of those seats. Who are the other 3 people you're going to invite? Anybody dead or alive, and why would you invite them?
The other 3, so I get to invite 3.
You get 3 guests to come on the Learjet with you.
Okay. Absolutely, because I'll get emotional. I was so blessed to be raised in my grandparents' home, my maternal grandparents' home. So I 100% want my yaya and papu, that's Greek for grandmother, grandfather, and my mom. And I want them to know that I'm doing well, that I'm doing okay. And I always learn from them. I mean, my grandmother was so wise, and my grandfather, an incredible entrepreneur, great business head. And my mom, oh man, her spirit, her intestinal fortitude, never met anybody like her. So I would want my family back with me.
Beautiful. And I'm not surprised you're so family oriented. Real quick, and where would you fly? Anywhere in the world, where would you fly? What destination?
We absolutely would go to Greece and visit the hometowns that my maternal grandparents grew up in.
That's so beautiful. Eleni, I've got to thank you so much. You really enlightened me today. I know the audience was enlightened. I know people that listen to this and watch this recording will be. Keep rocking and rolling. How can people find you? Is the website the best way?
Yeah, you can reach me through the website, on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, and always happy to connect. And if you've listened to this and you just even have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. I respond to everybody, me, not AI, not a virtual assistant, because as Steve well knows, I believe in connecting to cultivate relationships. So don't hesitate to ask questions or reach out.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We got to end here. Me and Eleni, thank you all so much for watching and listening to this TV show. We're so happy. I'm sure you have comments. Send them to me. If they're comments for Eleni, I'll get them to her. I've well connected to her. I don't know what that means, but I can get the messages to her. Please do. Please reach out. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of Together We Serve TV show. You all have a great day.